All right. Welcome, guys, to HGI Talk. Welcome to the second edition of HGI Talk, and we'll be talking about the business index in the Gambia. And my guest speaker today is Momodou Gando Bah. He's one of the research associates for HGI, and he's currently in the Gambia right now, and he can basically give us an insight of exactly if a foreigner or someone in the Gambian diaspora or in Europe or in America want to do business in the Gambia, what do they expect to, face? What are the challenges? What are the potential benefits of doing business in the Gambia? And yeah, he will share us some of his experiences personally, and um, we'll conclude it by having a 15-minute discussion. Yeah. So, Momodou, um, so currently, where are you located right now?
Currently, I'm in Kanifing.
Okay.
Kanifing, basically, it's maybe we could say the Greater Banjul area, Kanifing.
Okay. So, in your opinion, how would you describe starting a business in the Gambia? Because I started a business in the Gambia about 2 years ago, and at that time I was still in college, and I would say I was a bit naive on certain things of what I would expect, like the amount of I would say corruption and like a lot of stiff resistance on if you want something done. For example, if you want to get a bank started in the Gambia, it takes about 3 to 6 months just to get everything like set up. Compared to here in the U.S., you can just set up a bank account in a matter of days. So these are the things that I never really put into factor. So from your own opinions, because I explained to you my experiences, what um what do you um what are some things that you can like enlighten people about?
Okay, thank you very much, Teslim Deen, for the invitation to begin with. I am honored, though, to be invited for this HGI talk
No problem.
on business ethics and all that, and business in the Gambia.
Mhm.
Yeah, you are right in to some extent. I could say it is really challenging in the Gambia, more so for businesses that are on a big scale. For small businesses, normally the challenges, especially from natives in the Gambia here, because I'm speaking from experience.
Okay.
Like I was a poultry farmer, and I'm still a poultry farmer, though, because I probably have taken a break for now, because I have to get things done before I come back, at least to be up and running with my business. But initially, when I started, I didn't have that much challenge because maybe it could be perhaps it is on a smaller scale at that time. But from experience, also with colleagues that I've discussed with, I have a friend, a colleague here that I move with or I spend time with most often. He had a brilliant idea, though. He studied from Russia. He came here
Russia.
with very good idea that would have really helped one of the ministries here, municipal councils here.
Okay.
But unfortunately for him, it didn't go down well for him. He has been going back and forth, made series of presentations. To a point, they even give him so much idea that would even give him hope, thinking that he can take this business to another level and he would have the support needed.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it didn't go down well with him, and now he's thinking of pushing the business idea to a neighboring country, at least a bit far, that is Nigeria, because of he's a native here. But imagine, he had this hard time
Yeah.
trying to have his business, although it's on a bigger scale, though, but he couldn't have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I had the same problem because when in the beginning, HGI was a petition on change.org, and I was advocating for the use of solar panels, so like building a solar farm in certain areas of the Gambia. But boy, man, that idea was shut down, like plain from the sky, basically, because In order to get that implemented, I would have to go through a number of departments, like the Justice Department, and that was it was so hard to get in touch with someone just to communicate with them about the business idea that I was trying to do. Keep in mind, I went to before that. I went to Paris to talk about the initiative, and I did a presentation in front of I would say 300 to 400 people about what I was planning to do because it was an expo about for change basically. So it was an event for a bunch of incubators, startup companies in Africa and also in Europe. But about a year into doing HGI, I realized that this is not it's not realistic in Gambia. So I basically had to improvise and just change the company in a dime. So now it's more practical and my expectations are way lower than before. So what your friend was going through in Russia, I honestly, I feel that. I honestly believe that his agricultural solutions would have been very beneficial. I don't know what it is exactly. Can you explain more on that?
Basically, it's more of a technology innovative business
Mm,
because we have what we call the rubbish collection here,
okay.
but it is more done manually, and then you know all countries are not free from,
Yeah.
or many countries are not free from corruption and all that.
Yeah.
So sometimes there is a huge loss of revenue. So this particular business, it is meant to help them to track and then even give them an alert should a particular bean is about to be full,
Oh,
and
okay.
the level where it would be and all that, and who collects it at what time, and the easiest route to get to these beans and all that.
Wow. That's
So
actually
they were
pretty.
so much happy,
Yeah.
but unfortunately, he didn't receive the support
The
he
support.
needed,
Yeah.
and he was going back and forth. And as a result, he had to move it. Even though he had it registered here, he spent huge amount of money,
Money and
but
time.
unfortunately, it didn't work out for him here.
Mm. And
Yeah.
he's thinking about taking that innovative idea to somewhere else.
Yes, obviously. That's what I told him. It would have been a very good initiative
Mhm.
for the country here to take, ownership of it and be the pioneers. And it could be something that they could recommend to neighboring countries
Mhm.
because even the minister, the mayor
The mayor.
traveled to a neighboring country and they have that MOU, and that was even similar part of their discussion how Gambia would share knowledge regarding that initiative or
Mm.
similar initiative, but then unfortunately it wasn't taken on board.
Mm. So
Yeah.
basically, it's tied up to number three of our table of content, which is what are the difficulties of doing business in the Gambia, and that's one of them. The lack of support.
Yeah,
Lack of support is
that's
the number one. Yeah.
part of it. And then also, people generally are resistant to change. That is obvious
Hmm.
because it depends on how you're brought up.
Yeah.
Normally, if you have some, ideas that probably are a bit weird towards to people, they
Hmm.
tend to, discourage you, say it doesn't work here. So probably we are not in that era. That technology hasn't
Yeah.
developed to that level in the Gambia and what have you.
Yeah.
But then, those countries that we really look up to, they didn't, have everything overnight.
Yeah.
They develop as a result. They have targets and they move with certain targets and goals and conviction along the way.
Mm.
And they made it there, and now we look up to them.
Yeah. Exactly.
So culture could also be a reason, why sometimes you have even people discouraging you from within.
Culture. Yeah.
But normally, I advise people, you know, young ones like myself, you have to be resolved. Know what you are present, what business you want to do. Know it to your fingertips.
Yep.
That way, you have to be resolved. If not, you probably be swayed to leave the business, and it could
Exactly.
really make a lot of money for you.
Exactly. So the
Yeah.
lack of support, the culture, and also, um, yeah, just those two. Those two are the two main culprits in Gambia right now. There's a lack of support because a
Yeah.
majority of
No.
the businesses are Gambian based, like people from the diaspora coming from Russia or Europe or in the States. But when they come, they realize that, oh, wow, this is not what I expected. So they, they
Yeah.
take their bags and go somewhere else.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
and a lot of thing has happened over the past years. Some business relocated, or
Mm.
probably, you know, taking their business to neighboring countries. Perhaps maybe they were not too welcome.
Mm.
But then generally, it's a welcoming country. But sometimes, you get to meet up with people
Mm.
who definitely they do not really have, they're not sincere enough,
Yes, sincere.
and as a result they do discourage you, and they do not help you to get this idea up and running, and sometimes they tend to discourage you.
Mm.
And basically the brother I spoke about, that was the thing. He wasn't able to meet the main individuals
Mm.
because he tried, made
Yeah.
appointments, made
Mhm.
presentation, but he wasn't able to get to the mayor or
Yeah,
the people who could have made that right decisions or had influence on that.
I see. Yeah, it's a pity. So what would you describe the main key industries for Gambia? Like what people are really, I don't know, because Gambia is there's needs and wants, and
Yeah, yeah,
with our society at the moment, we're more focused on the needs than the wants, and agriculture is one of them. Obviously, a lot
yeah.
of people are interested in agriculture in the Gambia. So, out of many, which are the main key industries, in your opinion, are the top rising industries in the Gambia?
Basically, I could say agriculture, as you have said, which,
Mhm.
it has to do with, it comes along with some,
Yeah.
culture, we could say,
Yeah.
because it's something that you seemingly inherit from family members. Most of those from the rural Gambia,
Right.
you don't have much economic activities except, these agricultural activities to do. Maybe when you come down here, you are exposed to other business opportunities, but
Right.
there the main dominant businesses and activities, economic activities, is agriculture,
Hmm.
which I feel is growing over the past years. I could say maybe I cannot necessarily give you an exact, maybe statistical data on that, but I've been following news and all that. Last year the government bought about 200,000,
Hmm.
worth of bags of fertilizers that was meant to be served in 2 years. Unfortunately, it was, used up. All of it
Oh
went in.
wow.
And this time around, they had 1,000 for 100 and 140,000 rather.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the prices are not that much favorable right now. That's what is going on.
Hmm.
Currently struggling because the price that they peg this, the prices of fertilizer is really expensive
Okay.
as per the view of the farmers.
Okay.
But there was even subsidies made of 1,000, but unfortunately still beyond the reach of most of them.
Mm, I
Yeah.
see. I also think, other than agriculture, I think the construction business is also another key industry that's on the rise in the Gambia because every time I come back, the last time I was in Gambia, it was right before the pandemic, the COVID pandemic in 2019, and I saw houses and that I never saw before, like so many houses. Because before then, I came back in 2012, and the amount of construction that's happening is off the chain. So I see that as another rising industry in the Gambia. Um,
Yeah.
and honestly, I honestly don't know what other industry would be on the rise in the Gambia because it's so hard to gauge uh, at the moment.
Tourism has been the biggest market, I could say, or the biggest industry in the Gambia,
Okay.
along with agriculture. But over the past years, too, we have also realized that construction is on the rise, as you have rightly said. Now you have so much of, construction agents and what have you, and farms for that matter.
Hmm.
And now most are coming with so much of promotions and all that.
Okay.
And maybe now, if you could probably go into compounds and or houses and ask people who have lands and all that,
Hmm.
you probably barely have few who are without.
Hmm.
Unlike those days when people were not much interested in that,
Right.
but now you could see a lot of those things happening,
Okay.
especially in the up countries and down here as well.
Okay. Yeah. But I would. say that tourism since the pandemic has been taking a bit of a hit in the Gambia, if I'm correct, right?
Yes, that has been. I wanted to say that
Mm.
earlier on. Yeah, we were affected by it though.
Okay.
But then, since at least things were eased, it might not necessarily be as it was before the pandemic.
Okay.
But I guess the industry is also trying to find its feet again.
Okay. Okay. Understand.
Mm.
And so going on to uh, content number 4, the Yaya effect. Would you say since Jammeh got out of power in 17 until now, do you think the ease of doing business has become easier or harder, culture wise?
Uh, culture-wise,
Yeah.
cultural-wise, it depends on how you've seen it.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe there was that element of fear back
Mm-hmm.
then,
Mm-hmm.
that could be sense and all that, but then he was also in competition in most of these businesses, and
Yeah.
I guess maybe his sole aim was also to help out. Perhaps I cannot tell because I don't know in what was in his heart,
Yeah.
basically what his intention were. But then he was mostly in competition with some of the fans, like you see him in bakery,
Mm-hmm.
and then also
Yeah.
he also has agricultural products and all that,
Mm-hmm.
and then you see him in many businesses in the pretext he wants to help people and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
But then the element of fear was there as well,
Right.
and
Definitely.
now things are a bit loose because people tend to do things in the name of democracy. I understand that
Yeah.
people, you know, cannot claim democracy and
Mm-hmm.
all that,
Mm-hmm.
and people tend to do a whole lot of stuffs. And basically, I wanted to speak about that, especially in the transportation sector. We really face a lot of challenge in that
Okay.
because it's like so loose. Authorities are just, not doing enough.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily they are not doing something, but they are not doing enough
Enough.
to
Yeah.
address these issues.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because from 20, when I did some research on the ease of doing business in the Gambia, there's like a world index since
Yes.
2016 to 2021. Gambia
2018 was better.
2018.
Was better than 2019
Okay,
because
okay,
2018, if my memory could serve me well,
yeah,
it was 149.
149. Okay,
Gambia was rated 149,
now it's
but now
155.
it's 155.
Yeah,
So you could see there was a drastic,
yeah.
reduction and
Hmm.
deteriorating and all that. So there could be a lot of factors involved though, but then we have a whole lot to improve on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So I mean, based off the stats, you would say that the ease of doing business was a bit easier in Gemma's time, uh, according to stats.
That maybe statistics
Yeah,
could be.
yeah, yeah, but it can be misleading at times. So
Yes, that's
yeah,
what that's what I wanted to say. It could be misleading because the statistic could be saying this, but maybe people are living something else
right,
and all that.
right, and there could be some biases
Yeah,
put into the
and and
stats.
and, and that time too. Sorry,
Yeah,
I apologize.
yeah,
I cut you short.
yeah,
Sorry
you're good.
about that. That time too, you realize that there was some a level of infant support,
Mm,
meaning infant industry,
yeah.
more so those that are local,
Hmm.
to at least find their feet. Like there used to be what we call karafi. They were mostly in this production of onions and what have you.
Okay.
They were really empowered, and there was somehow an embargo to at least give them that leverage to penetrate the market
Hmm.
and then have an edge over their competitors, at least to discourage more of onions coming into the country.
Okay.
At least those people would do argue that they were done out of, in closed doors deals, as they would say it.
Okay.
At least maybe they also enjoy from it. But then I cannot really say much about that. But I could sense there were some lot of infant industry support from him back then.
Mm,
Now maybe I cannot see much of that going on. Yeah.
okay. Cool. And going on to number 5, would you say that the school current curriculum should implement business ethics into their curriculum? I don't know how to say that word from the
curriculum.
curriculum from the basic level to the primary to the college system.
Yeah, I quite agree because basically those individuals from the school system, academic uh, uh, section, they are the very one that do come to the market.
Hmm.
Basically they make up the market at the
Yeah.
end, probably when they graduate.
Hmm.
And there are a lot of some of the businesses are characterized by dishonesty and what have you.
Right.
I feel being engaged and involved at an early age
Hmm.
is really a very good thing. At least it will groom them, nurture them
Yeah.
to be at least upright in their business dealings. Because
Yeah.
nowadays it has been the order of the day, and it results to a lot of price hikes
Price tags.
and so much of difficulty, and people complain a lot. And
Yeah.
sometimes authorities are maybe helpless, but they're not doing much. Maybe that's how I could put it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely agree. Uh, I can even explain to you how there were certain times where when we were dealing with nonprofit business related stuff in the Gambia with HGI, we would reach out to certain business leaders, and the secretary will give our letter to the secretary, like, um, give this to such and such, but that letter will
We
never
wouldn't get it.
would never go up in the ladder, so to speak.
I
And
understand.
then there's a lack of communications. So we're like, so basically we have to start from ground one all over again, and it's very frustrating. And there has been a number of times where certain team members mentioned to me, why can't we just move it from Gambia to maybe Morocco or Nigeria? But I'm like, that's a lot of process again. And I've never been to those countries. So all of this, like, honestly, Gando, I was very naive when I started HGI with you know starting it in the Gambia because I expected so much. But now I'm much more wiser and much more practical with myself, and I know what works and what would not work. So the conclusion of this, I will have to say one word: for anyone that wants to do business in the Gambia, either it be Europeans or anyone in the diaspora or anyone in the Gambia currently, you have to be real with yourself, especially if you're not, I would say, someone like Bill Gates or someone with a lot of money, because
Yeah.
most of our funding, sorry, most of our income that we spend in the Gambia is either from our own or from donors. So that's one word I would say about the conclusion: practicality and being real with yourself. And what you also said, knowing the business like your fingertips. So yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add more on that before we close out?
Basically, you must have said it all.
Yeah.
As you have said, it's
Hmm.
been realistic too,
Yeah.
because you will also understand the dynamic environment and all that. Because
Yeah.
maybe some businesses could be applicable out there, but they are not here. They could be their potential business here,
Hmm.
but it takes a lot of convincing. It takes a lot of talking back and forth.
Right.
So one thing also an entrepreneur should have, you have to be resolved,
Yeah.
and then you shouldn't equally be easily giving up
Yeah.
that easily.
Yeah.
Yes, you have to fight harder, and my encouragement to you is don't just give up too
Yeah.
easily. I know you must have tried harder
Oh,
and
yeah.
must have put in all the efforts you had and all the energies, but then
Hmm.
hopefully we're hoping for better days and things to change, and
Hmm.
also it's about getting the right connection. That is also
Okay.
a hidden secret.
Hmm.
Normally you have to have a good network, and as it is said in business, your network is your net worth,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Right. Right. That's a
Yes.
good one.
So having a good network, it helps you to penetrate and get to the people who are influential to have your stuffs up and running.
Hmm.
Yeah. Usually for small businesses, they don't have that much difficulty based on my experience and my observation compared to bigger businesses, businesses that are probably in the medium level or perhaps, heavy investments are like that. It does take a lot of process, as you have said earlier on.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, we're gonna conclude it there, guys. Again, it has been very wonderful getting my first guest speaker, Momodou Gando Bah. And I'm pretty sure in the future he'll be on with other topics that we have in mind. So this is not the last that you will see of him. But yes, guys. So please don't forget to subscribe and comment so that we can build the algorithm. So all right. Everyone stay safe, and we'll talk to you guys later.